even the Alangad Yogam, they do not visit the Vavar shrine, the Vavar mosque. They do not visit. But people, even without verifying the facts, they believe that it is a part of the ritual, and they advise us, without entering Vavar mosque, you won't get the full result of Sabarimalai Yatra. And to my knowledge, I have been going to Sabarimalai at least for 33-34 years. Initially, the Vavar shrine was like a small hut or something. Today, it is a magnificent building there, because the entire money given by the Ayyappan devotees is taken by the mosque authorities. Whereas the Shasta temple is of same size with no improvement at all, because the money is taken by the government. So let us think twice before coming to any conclusion or before following anything blindly. So there is no such, and the worst part is, some 15 years back, new story has been written, new screenplay, another edition. One has to go to Arthungal Church. Arthungal Church, because there is one person called Veluthon, he is another friend of Ayyappan. And many devotees now believe that and go there and remove their mala there. It is something like Amar Akbar Antony. So all these cooked up stories is mainly with a very big plan. It is a very big plan to actually disturb the sanctity or disturb the practices of Sabarimala. Because from morning we have been hearing so many stories of how the government is attacking the traditional practices and mutts and temples and other things. But in Sabarimala, it is a two-way attack. It is not a single way from the government. It is from the government on the one side and the religious attack on the other side. Because the practices of Sabarimala and people who are following it meticulously are mostly the downtrodden and poor people. And the major problem is their conversion agenda is getting disturbed. So it is not a new thing. Right from 1940s it is happening. Right from 1940s, it was an attempt to say it is not Sabarimala, it is Sabarimalai. It belongs to Saint Xavier. They came with a new story. And in 1950, with a conspiracy, they set fire to the temple, and the entire temple was damaged, and the Murti of Ayyappan, Murti of Dharmashastra, was broken to 3 pieces. It was a clear conspiracy. It was a clear conspiracy, and I think the entire case details is available in the internet. But no action was taken till date. But Bhagavan had a different plan, and only after 1950, the entire India knew about this temple. And so many thousands and thousands of people started visiting the temple after this incident. And again, yes, next one. Next. See, this is another earlier image of 1900s of Sabarimala. Unfortunately, this picture is being forwarded on WhatsApp telling picture of Sabarimala taken in 1640. 1640, even camera was not invented. Next. This is the original damaged Vigraham of Ayyappan. That is of 1950, when the Vigraham was broken into 3 pieces with an axe. So it was temporarily tied with a silver thread and was kept inside the Sannidhanam for 1 year. And the new idol was cast, and the new idol was installed in 1951. And that is what the new idol which we are seeing, new Vigraham or present Vigraham of Ayyappan. And again in 1983, they came with another agenda, because I am very sure about the Vigraham, because in a way we are associated with this Vigraham. There were 3 identical Vigraham made for the Punar Pratishta, one by one Swami Vimochanananda. The second idol was by P.T. Rajan of Tamil Nadu, ironically from Justice Party, along with the help of Rajamanikam Pillai. And the third one was made by my great-grandfather. But in the Deva Prashnam, Bhagavan chose the idol of P.T. Rajan and Rajamanikam Pillai, which was installed at Sabarimala, which we are seeing today. The Vigraham made by Swami Vimochanananda is installed at Kashi at Tilabandeshwara temple, and the Vigraham of our family is still there in our ancestral house. So again, during the 1950 plan, it got flopped. So by 1983, again, a cross was planted in Nilakal area, and it was a claim that it was implanted by St. Thomas in 50 AD. Again an agitation started, and it was clearly proved that the cross is not more than 12 years. So again, now it is with a different agenda of women entry in 2018. So many claims that and so many stories are going on regarding the women entry of Sabarimala. As I said, it was practically impossible for women, at least till 1960s, to come to Sabarimala for various reasons. And today many people claim that ladies were allowed to Sabarimala till 1991, quoting unverifiable examples, but it is a very clear this thing, it is not possible. The only thing is, a clear law was passed in 1991 regarding the women entry. Because few things cannot be assured by passing law. A traditional belief is in the mindset of the people. In India, there is a display board. It is not necessary for a person to inform that chappals are not allowed inside the temple. It is understood. Because it is imbibed within us. But even during the British era, the Kerala government survey record of 1820 by Warden Connor, it clearly says that women who have attained puberty and have not crossed certain age are not allowed to this temple. Even the British rulers respected our tradition and temple practices. And only after the independence, always so many problems, and now the present government is very keen on, the Kerala government is very keen on breaking all the traditions. And as I said, after 1960s, when the short route came for Vivigiri, the transportation to Sabarimala became very easy, and few people from other states, they started bringing their family, leaving them at Pamba, going to Sannidhanam and coming back. So at this point of time, few devotees or few women devotees, they tried to bypass this thing, because in the monthly pujas, there were hardly 10 to 15 devotees in the temple. So they tried to bypass and they tried to climb the hill, and most probably the officials conveniently overlooked it. And the misuse of power by the Devaswam board peaked in 1986. Yes. They got some 750 rupees and they rented the entire Sannidhanam for a movie shooting called Nambinar Keduvadillai. The movie is called Nambinar Keduvadillai. Unfortunately, well-known personalities like M.N. Nambiyar were involved with this. The crew, they brought young actresses, cine actresses like Jayashree and Sudha Chandran to Sabarimala Sannidhanam, and only after this the devotees understood the seriousness of the issue and it became a big problem. So after this movie was released, a case was filed in the Kerala High Court, and in 1991 the Kerala High Court, it took up the case and it upheld the age-old tradition on restriction on women of entering the temple of a particular age group, using a politically correct terminology of broad age limit of below 10 years and above 50 years. Because we have ample proof that before that it was very strictly followed, and even people of Kerala and Tamil Nadu and other devotees, they never ventured into breaking the tradition. And till date, the traditional families associated to Ayyappan, be it Pandalam family, be it the Tandri family, or the Alangadu, Ambalapuda or Kambangudi or any other family, the women folks of that family never venture into Sabarimala. Women of any age, they don't come to Sabarimala. That is the tradition that is being fully followed by these families. So, this was the scenario. Yes, next one. Yes, back. No, Pinadi. Back, yes. No. Yes. Now coming to the primary point. Leaving about the family, the pujas done there, the rituals followed there. The primary point of the Dharmashastra temple, it is a kavu and it is not a kshetram. That has to be defined very clearly. That is where the primary problem lies. That is the major problem for the entire this thing. Kavu is generally a sacred grove. The temple, which is traditional name given to a temple which is located inside a forest. And most of the Shasta temples or Devi temples, few Devi temples are called Kavu. For example, Manapulli Kavu, Thiruvula Kavu, Aryangavu, something like that. It is the name is given as Kavu, which means it is inside a grove or inside a forest. Basically, a temple which is opened daily and has routine pujas for 3 times a day is called a Kshetram. A temple which is opened daily, 365 days, and puja is done 3 times a day is called a Kshetram. A temple with minimum 3 to 5 pujas and with 3 Shivelis is called a Mahashastru, something like Guruvayur, where you have Shiveli. And Kavu temples are generally opened once a month or once a year. That is the case with Sabarimalai too. Initially, the temple was opened only once a year for Magara Velakku Utsavam, maximum for 3 days. Then it became 5 days. The Tandri, the Pandala Raja, and all other visited the temple as a group. Just a day before the Magara Velakku, they do the puja, adorn the Thiruvabaranam, have the Divaradhane, Magarajoti Darshanam, the temple is closed. That was the original practice of the temple. Because the Thiruvabaranam, it comprises of 3 boxes. Thiruvabaranapatti, Vellipatti and Kodipatti, which is being brought from Pandalam Palace to the Sabarimalai shrine on Magara Velakku day. If you see, only the 1 box is now brought to the Sri Govil. 5 minutes. Only 1 box is brought to the Sri Govil. The remaining 2 boxes, which we see, has all the puja utensils. The Velli Kodam, the Velli Shangu and everything. Which means the entire puja setup was brought on Magara Velakku day. The puja was done, it was returned back. So in the records of Ward and Corner again, we understand the maximum devotees who visit the shrine during the early 1800s, during the Magara Velakku Utsavam was 5,000 to 10,000 for a span of 3 to 5 days. Later, after the Devaswam board took charge, it got expanded. Mandala Kalam was introduced for 41 days, probably during 1900s. Even during those days, the temple retained the Kavu status with no special puja. The only special puja is the Neyyabhishekam, nothing else. And the end of the Mandala Puja, that is on the December 25th or 26th, one Kalababhishekam will be performed. No special puja, no paid ticketed pujas, which is happening today. The only puja was happening was Neyyabhishekam, no ticketed pujas. And soon the board extended to monthly pujas. And the worst part is, Sabarimalai had no Utsavam, actually, technically. Because the Murti Sankalpam of Sabarimalai, the Bhagavan is in Yogam, and he comes out only once a year. And for a person who is in Yogam, there is no need for a Utsavam. And needless to say, for a Kavu temple, even for other Kavu temples, the Utsavam is only in the form of an Agosham as a celebration. There are 3 kinds of Utsavam: Anguradi, Dvajadi, and Padahadi. Anguradi and Dvajadi are the hoisting of flag and doing full-fledged rituals. But whereas the festivals like Trishur Puram, the Puram festival is more of a celebration than of a puja and ritual. That is what is allowed for Kavu temples. But for Sabarimalai, even that was not needed because the Murti is in penance. But after a monthly puja, suddenly in 1969, see in the previous picture, the older pictures, if you see, there is no Kodimaram in the temple. There is no Kodimaram in the temple. The first picture, if you see, there is no Kodimaram. In 1969, suddenly a Kodimaram appeared. Because even for a Kodimaram, there is a procedure to take it and season it and do pujas, and you'll have to wait for 1 year to install it. Suddenly, one fine morning, after monthly puja, a Kodimaram appeared at Sabarimalai Sannidhanam. And another important point to be noted is, in the year, see, this Kodimaram was installed in 1969. And thereon, they took it as a reason. And since we have a Kodimaram, we will do flag hoisting, we will do Utsavam, we will do Araatan, everything was happening. And the worst thing is, in 2017, the old Kodimaram was removed and new Kodimaram was installed in 2017. Devotees, when the old Kodimaram was removed, they were shell-shocked. Because originally, all Kodimarams are made out of single log of wood. This was made of concrete. This Kodimaram was entirely made by the Devaswam board within a span of 1 week or 10 days by concrete and covered it beautifully with brass plates. So when they are capable of covering up such huge things in as early as 1960s, no wonder they bypassed the temple rules to their convenience in 2018 and 19. For such pujas in Sabarimala, because they have altered the entire system, and it is done almost every day. Melshandi was from the same family, and now it is by the appointment. Velichappad was from traditional families, the practice was stopped. Irumudi, originally, that is the uniqueness of Sabarimala. You will have to tie your irumudi, carry it on your head, and go by walking. And now what is happening? The board has arranged a person at Pamba Ganapati who can tie your irumudi, and you can directly get it done and go there. Probably in another 2 years, they will give you ready-made irumudi also. So, the entire system or the entire tradition and ritual of Sabarimala is totally distorted, which has paved way for all these confusions in this temple. So, it is not only about the entry of young women, but the entire system is being collapsed to a situation, to a state that it is irrevocable actually. Because Sabarimala is a unique place of worship. Bhagavan Shasta appeared as a human being, and he is seated in Naishtika Brahmacharya Yoga in this Mahayoga Peetham. No other temple has these 18 steps. No other temple has such kind of unique puja practices. And no other temple has the concept of irumudi and offering one's own soul as an offering to the Lord as ghee abhishekam, nehi abhishekam. So, now the entire system is being collapsed, and thank God at least for this women entry, people reacted, and just because of, they never expected this kind of agitation from the public. And only because of this, at least we could save that, because if had we allowed that particular this thing, the entire thing would have gone. But Sabarimala, right from day one, has won battles in a grand destructive acts enacted by the evil forces. That is the history of Sabarimala. That is what it is said. Because during the Puranic era, Manikandan won over the evil plot by the ministers and finally sat in the temple, and thus came the temple. During the historic episode of Arya Kerala Varman, he conquered the dacoits and rebuilt the temple. During 1950 fire, the temple stood the destruction and rose strong. And even after today's problem, what we are facing today, definitely the temple will come out. And we are sure that Sabarimala Shasta temple will reach more heights and come out successfully from false claims and misjudgments, and definitely the traditions will be restored. SWAMIYE SARANAM AYYAPPA.
Thank you, Aravind ji. Now we have a tea break for 15